When one person faces another, they always want it to be a clean fight without cheating. But what happens when they face common fools who do not respect professional fighters and end up underestimating them? Well, it's time to see what happens when these common fools challenge experienced fighters. It's time to start. A bodybuilder with a prominent physique, as expected, wanted to be too clever when trying to challenge a fighter. The bodybuilder believed that he was going to have a victory because he was more physically powerful. But everything turned out terribly for the bodybuilder, who could not face the purple belt fighter. The bodybuilder shows us that no matter how physically strong you are or how many muscles you have, when you face a professional wrestler, technique will always win over strength. But something different happened to this other fighter. He is an aspiring blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. One day, he wanted to confront a woman because for him, no woman could ever beat him. Let's see if he kept his word or ended up succumbing to a woman. The result was worse than expected. He ended up falling out of combat, not knocked out or unconscious, but injured to the anterior cruciate ligament. The fighter who previously declared that he was going to demolish his opponent ended up falling injured before himself.
I think I'm going to absolutely demolish her. I'm 175 pounds, made of pure steel. She's what, 65 pounds? She's a woman. No woman could beat me. The match is over already. It's done. I beat her already.
The humiliation he received was very strong, and he learned the lesson of never underestimating his opponent. But something worse was what happened to this mother who takes her son to soccer and who wanted to try the sport of MMA. But it is unfair that there are fights like these. Let's see.
I think I'm going to absolutely demolish.
Poor woman. She ended up being knocked out by that fighting woman who without a doubt was a professional at what she does. However, someone who did receive what he deserved was this YouTuber who makes prank videos. The YouTuber wanted to get into the ring. However, they brought him an experienced fighter, and she ended up beating up the YouTuber's entire group of friends. Knockout! If you are an inexperienced person, it is best that you never challenge a professional in martial arts, because you will always be harmed. One who was hurt was this boy who wanted to challenge a purple belt girl to a fight. This is what happened to him. Every time she tried to fight, she ended up losing and giving up. She was even surprised that the fighter didn't even break a drop of sweat. It was too easy for her to subdue him. One who was easily subdued by a professional fighter was this guy who showed his supposed boxing skills on the internet. In addition to showing his skills, he also challenged amateur fighters or even inexperienced people to sparring sessions. But when he faced a real fighter, this is what happened to him. He couldn't even smack the professional wrestler a single slap. However, this boy's perception of reality was completely altered, and in his mind, he won the fight. But the images showed the opposite. Now we will see a guy who spent months sending messages to this fighter telling him that he would defeat him easily. When they agreed to a fight, this was the result.
You ain't gonna mess with nobody else. All right, man, right now. This on where I'm here. I'm done. He's done. Let him go. It's gonna stop now. Huh?
Hey,
it ain't gonna be good for you.
You gotta watch it, man. I'm the best. I'm still the best. Man with the senior knocked out.
I'm good, man. You can't.
The fighter gave him a whole lesson on how to fight. He even humiliated him during the fight, assuring him that there are levels to everything. But he gave him the beating the same way. Now we will see a guy who entered a gym asking to fight, because when they got him a fight, this was his performance when facing a real fighter.
That's it. No, all right. Hey, you got in the ring though.
And while we have all learned the lesson, just as these fools who faced professional fighters learned it, in this case, those involved received what they deserved, some for challenging them, others for egocentrism, and some others who simply challenged the wrong person. Speaking of someone who messed with the wrong person, in this case, we're talking about a UFC fighter named Kosuke Yoshinaga. This legendary fighter, during a television show, had a run-in with a Japanese streamer. So Kosuke challenged him to an official fight at that very moment. However, the streamer did not want to do it at that time, but he did show up 2 months later at his gym to face him. Let's see what the result was. The result was too obvious. We were never going to doubt the ability of a former UFC fighter. The streamer learned the lesson of never disrespecting a fighter again, because everything can take its toll on you. One who, if his attitude took a toll, was this fighter who wanted to face a fighter in a Muay Thai gym. This Muay Thai fighter wanted to beat him up, so he didn't hold back at all against this street fighter. Let's see. In addition to not holding back against the fighter with airs of grandeur, the Real fighter had the decency to give him a lesson that he will never forget, apart from the good lesson he gave him in the ring, outside of it. He also gave him a lesson in morality, so that he would stop challenging people for the simple fact of wanting to fight. A fighter who was also enlarged, but who also could not demonstrate superiority despite mocking his rival, was this fighter, who received a dose of his own medicine. After that kick, we are sure that his entire brain restarted, including neurons. One who also received a beating was this fighter who entered a gym challenging an experienced fighter. Many see it as bravery. We see it as total stupidity. The incredible thing here is that he ended up outside the ring, literally speaking.
It was at this moment that he knew he
The foolish challenger ended up outside the ring. Meanwhile, he was taking a short nap after that tremendous slap. All of these fighters had to learn the lesson the hard way. Never hold back a professional fighter, since they always deserve admiration and respect. Thank you for coming this far, warrior. If you'd like to continue watching more, support us by subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Don't forget to comment on the word knockout. If you don't want to be knocked out, see you soon.